If you're watching this, I'm a free man and this video is over. I started this challenge over a month ago and it was a really good challenge. It was useful. The advice was basically to do the same thing every day. So I remade the same song every day. And the benefit is supposed to be that it's just very boring. So you are pushed to be creative, and it worked. And it led to me making a song that I liked, and it was a good time. But that was over a month ago. And then I started planning this video, and then it started to feel like there were multiple videos in the video. So then I made my video about artistic vision, which I was really pleased with. It was like a big production quality increase. And then I made another video on the 3 ways to see like an artist. Again, really pleased with it. And then I finally came around to making this video, but it had been a month since the beginning, and now it just feels really underwhelming. So I took a break for a couple of days. I got my energy levels back, consumed a bunch of stuff from people I really like, and got hyped again. And then was just like, you know what? This is probably terrible for engagement, but I want to start the video again and start just with an honest opening of like, this has been draining as shit. I saw a Casey Neistat video about like always be closing. Like if you start a project and then don't finish it, then it kind of just hangs around you. Yeah, you just get weighed down by all these dead projects. So that's really been on my mind, because part of me is just like, no one knows I did this challenge. Maybe I can just move on. But I think it's very true that if I just move on and don't make a video, then I won't learn anything and I'll forget I did this at some point. So it's like, okay, even if it starts with me with a blanket over my head, just like low energy and close to death, you know, I think I should still make it. So here we are. Editing Alex here. Okay, so I've decided to include my original intro as well, so I'm going to cut to that now. So as discussed here and here and here, a really good way to get better at making stuff is to remake stuff that you love as closely as possible. I've done this about 10 times now, and I've definitely learned useful stuff from it. For example, use the chorus effect on a guitar if you want to sound like Mac DeMarco. Record your acoustic guitar part twice and then hard pan to the left and the right to get a cool doubling effect that makes you sound kind of Bon Iver style. So yeah, this just seemed like a good thing to do. I did my 10 remakes, was feeling pretty pleased with myself, and then I was reading this book, still going, and a character in it called my ass out. Yeah, the quote was, "I believe that it's better to know one book intimately than 100 superficially," which, yeah, just really got me thinking about how all my remakes have been very fast, and I've learned some quick tips like, oh yeah, use the chorus effect or double your guitar, but nothing that profound. Like I haven't spent enough time with any artist to like really get how they write or think or anything like that. So then, yeah, it seems like a good idea as an experiment to, instead of doing quick one-day remakes with like various artists who I like continuing the analogy of the Renaissance like artist workshop from my last world famous video. Yeah, imagining that I'm a 4-month-old Garzoni artist's apprentice, and there's a master of the household, and then choosing and being like, okay, I have these heroes. Who should be my kind of master who I study under for a bit? Of my various artistic heroes, I'd say that the sound of the Strokes is definitely the easiest to reproduce. Like I'm close to having that skill set already. I have a playlist called Julian Casablancas is My Religion, like let's go. So yeah, I decided to remake the same song by the Strokes daily for a week, like as an experiment. In retrospect, I think there's problems with this idea, but like it seemed like a good idea at the time, what can I say? And yeah, it went pretty well for the first 2 days. Yeah, I was learning stuff, it was enjoyable. And then day 3, I couldn't handle it anymore. Like I couldn't face doing it again, and doing it for another 5 days was just like, it's too depressing to think about. So I ended up doing like a jailbreak and making my own song instead, which was actually really fun because it felt like found time, like it felt like a little treat rather than doing something boring. So it actually went very well. Hello, me again. I was going to have a section, and I've recorded like 4 minutes of it, of me explaining what I did for the Strokes remake. It's like a 4-minute thing, like talking about what I'd learned in what order. It's kind of boring, and I think most people won't care. So I think what I might do is add it at the very end of the video as like an optional appendix. So I'm actually not going to go to that now, and instead I'm just going to skip straight to breaking down the song that I made and like, yeah, the progress of that, breaking down like what I added over time. So nice, bye. Okay, so here is what I started with, which was just an arpeggiated chord sequence, which I really like. Quick note that I'm going to speed up some of these clips to save time. So I'm playing it really badly. It's kind of mad. This was before I kind of got the knack of it. I'm not good on the keyboard, but I just really like that chord progression. And I think this is kind of where everything started to go wrong, because in a previous video, I kind of learned that I just don't like making sincere, big-hearted, like sweet stuff. It's really not my style. And I stumbled across this chord progression, which I really like the sound of, but the sound I think is very like kind of nostalgic and sweet. And it just led me down that road, you know. I like this sound, but I shouldn't have done this. Okay, and then version 1, the next one is me like turning it into more of a song. Yeah, so that's me doing like a kind of bit of counterpoint. Like, it's not just chords, there's melodies as well, but there are chords, so I didn't go full Julian Casablancas, like no chords, so kind of failed there. And I demoed like every track is the same instrument just to keep it simple, which apparently Julian Casablancas would demo everything on the piano and just use that. So that's that. The time has come to say that I get very red if I drink alcohol, and I drank a bottle of beer during this part of the video, and my lights were on warm mode by mistake, so they made me look even worse. So, yeah. Okay, version 2 uses these 2 free plugins that turn MIDI into acoustic piano and bass, and they just sound really good. Like, I'm just really impressed with both of them. Yeah, just sounds great. Like, and the acoustic guitar, you can toggle like doubling, so with headphones on it pans in a really natural sounding way. It just sounds really good. Okay, now yeah, the next version, I just added a bit more variety, particularly to the bass. Yeah, it sounds really good to me. Like, I'm really pleased with that bass. And there's also like a break in the song here. Like, a few of the layers cut out, so there's just one chord layer playing, so it's kind of cool. Okay, now version 4 is where I put like a placeholder lyric or like singing over it. I pretty much just recorded it on loop and just kind of like tried different melodies. The lyrics are kind of bullshit, just like whatever came to mind to find a melody. So it's cringe. I also like added a piano to help find the vocal melody, so it sounds like extra cringe and bad. But yeah, this was, you know, take 1. I think it's important to just let ideas fly and not judge yourself too much as you're going. So. Cheesy. Now, so in version 5, I applied the vocal chain that I had made for the Strokes remake and tried to sing in a more Strokesy way. I actually think it sounds worse. I think maybe Julian's vocal chain works because like the rest of the song is also compressed and sounds similar, as I think I left everything else sounding pretty shiny and normal, and then like there's just a really compressed like vocal that just sounds kind of odd. So some regret, but you know, what you gotta do. We spend a long time before you tell me no. I mean, it's kind of cool that it sounds kind of Julian-ish. Like, yeah, I don't think it fits, but you know, kind of cool. And then for version 6, amongst other things, I kind of added more variety to the layers and a break in the middle of the song where it's like a cool arpeggiated bit that gets swept from left to right, and maybe a guitar solo as well. So just like, yeah, adding more variety. Way to go. The song feels really slow to me. I don't know if it's because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on like 2.5x, but it's just like, I don't know what the BPM actually is. 109, I think that is pretty damn slow. So it's interesting making it and being really into it for a while, then having a really big break, and then you return and you're like, very, very much a fresh set of ears. And then this is the final version. Like, I'll just play the whole thing, and then I have various talking points.
time before you tell me no. You watch the rust seal the door, vines overgrow, vertigo in undertow. There's only one thing that can cool me down, and it hurts my eyes. You don't make any plans. They ask you why. Well, there's only one way to know. I've got nothing to say, and it's chemistry or it's your own fault. You've seen enough of the world, and you found the thing that you had sought. And we'll see if you know what you're doing it for. Please don't call. Please don't call.
Okay, I have many takeaways. My main one is just, why the hell is it so slow? Like, why did I do 109 BPM? It just feels so, like, it's plodding along. Even the way I sing just feels really, like, drawn out because the BPM is so low. I don't know. I could maybe change it to, like, 130 and that would make a big difference. I really like, I'll try and start with the positives. I really like the variation in the song structure. Like, there's things that come in and out. There's, like, the break in the middle. There's multiple layers of synth that kind of vary. I think that's pretty good. The drums aren't completely static. They change a bit, although I think it's only like 2 different drum loops that I just alternate occasionally. So not super varied, but yeah, that's cool. The lyric writing process, actually, I'm kind of proud of, even though there's a lot of cringe stuff in there, and that's all like a 4th draft. Like, I didn't spend that much time on it, but one cool thing about writing the lyrics was it was a real experience in stealing like an artist. There's a fair amount of lyrics in there that are either basically completely stolen or heavily remixed from songs I love. So for example, there's only one thing that can cool me down and it hurts my eyes. There's a Car Seat Headrest song, like, can't cool me down. So I was just like, I've always liked that line. I just think that's cool, so let me steal it. And there's also I've got nothing to say and it's chemistry or it's your own fault. I've got nothing to say is a like line from a Strokes song that I like, and it's chemistry, it's your own fault is like a bit from a Car Seat Headrest song that I also like. So that was fun to combine the two. And Please Don't Call at the end and like kind of an outro was just a random ad-lib. It was just like me looping the song and just like singing random words and stuff when I was figuring out like a general melody, and that just came to me partly because I'm like in kind of an antisocial era at the moment, just like being really intense about work and like living at my mum's, like not really talking to anyone. So it's partly that too, but I just thought it was kind of cool and I liked it, so that was fun. So yeah, that's the good stuff. The bad stuff, like, yeah, there's also just a sense of like, I shouldn't make songs like this just isn't me. Like, sad, nostalgic, like, I don't know, it just feels like dreary and just not something that I want to do. Yeah, I want to probably make silly, dumb stuff that just isn't taking myself so seriously. This is just not a mode that I think I enjoy. So that's the problem. I really like the chord progression and it happened to sound kind of sad and nostalgic, so I was like, okay, I guess the lyrics should match, and the end result is just, I mean, it's very useful. I just think I should stay away from this thing, and I probably won't do this again. So that's really good. But there were some like kind of shitty lyrics, like there's well, there's only one way to know. It just feels kind of filler, like kind of cliche, like there's no metaphor or poetry in that. It's just meh. But yeah, I don't know. This is, in a way, it's my best song. It's my most songy song that I've ever made. That's like got variation and isn't just a 1 minute idea. It's kind of fleshed out and has a break and has like variation and stuff. Somehow I made the synths way worse. Like as time went on, with every version, I like overthought the synths and made them like thinner and worse and really butchered them. That was sad. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I think I mixed it reasonably well. Like I actually put this song on my iPod and put like random shitty headphones on and just expected it to sound really muddy and terrible, and I was actually surprised. For sure, I barely know anything about mixing, but I did the basics and was like, oh wow, this sounds a lot better than I expected it would, which is very cool. I think that's pretty much it for my takeaways. Yeah, it was really fun to make. I actually was really pleased with it. I was like very proud of myself. It's just the passage of time, the month that's gone by has just made me be like, oh god, what the hell. And I've kind of updated towards, maybe I'm not just passionate about making music and being a musician, because like I'm 28 and I've never had a pull towards that. And maybe actually it's more, now I'm kind of leaning towards being kind of average at many things and combining them in a fun way. So I have like a creative outlet that combines a bunch of different mediums, and making like silly songs is part of that, as well as making videos and like various other things. So I'm kind of like, yeah, this just feels like I don't know where this song would fit, and this just doesn't feel like my voice or something, or it's just I'm not that interested in it. So, but hey, you know, I made it, and I'm proud of myself for making it. I'm like glad that I did this. It's cool to have a song, and yeah, now I'm free. I've made it. I've explained it. I've reacted to it. Now I can move on to the next thing. We're nearly done. I imagine almost no one is watching this far in. I'm now going to cut to the draft version of what I learned from my 2 days of remaking The Strokes. There's no footage. It's just, well, there's B-roll, but I'm not on camera. I just like did a kind of practice take. I think there's still useful info here, so I didn't want to just like bin it. But I also just cannot finish it. So here we go. This is what the editing currently looks like. I still probably have another day to go. Ooh, these things get pretty beefy, bro. So while remaking a song, you encounter specific problems like needing to recreate a guitar tone, and then you need to be able to find relevant info to help you figure that out and solve the problem, have a system for remembering that info, and then have the skills to make the song in the software of your choice and with instruments and stuff. So the great thing about remakes is they give you very specific problems to solve. Like it's very clear what to do. You might need to recreate an exact sound. Like how do I get the right guitar sound, etc, etc. And for the second part of this table, YouTube is an insane resource for finding the right info. If you try remaking stuff, I highly recommend remaking something that's at the intersection of what you love and what is super popular, because holy shit, there are lots of incredible YouTube videos on how the Strokes debut was made. So at the start of this project, I had a kind of immersion phase where I just watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos. I can't highly recommend this Chrome extension enough that lets you speed up YouTube videos with your keyboard. I use it all the time. So depending on how much information you need to consume to do the remake, you'll need a good note-taking situation to be able to remember all the info. Obviously, this kind of thing is very personal, but I'm going to quickly use this as an opportunity to say, use Miro. Maybe I'll make a video about this one day. I used to be a second brain system nerd, and now I much prefer a Charlie Day style corkboard. I find having a 2D canvas where I can use color and size and spatial hierarchy is infinitely preferable to flat 1D documents that are like heavily nested and overwhelming. I will die on this very boring hill. So here's a quick overview of this stuff I learned. There's a really great interview with the producer of the album, and he talks about how Julian wanted them to sound like a band from the past that had traveled to the future to make an album, which in part means the early Beatles approach of practicing a bunch, then recording all at the same time in the same room with no overdubs. And I normally build out songs one loop section at a time like a freaking loser, so this was a good challenge. So for the guitar part of the recreation, I've always been an acoustic guitar guy. I've never really known anything about electric guitars or amps, so this finally pushed me to learn some stuff. Shout out to my teenage guitar, I don't know why I sold you. So first I watched a couple of videos on the history of electric guitars just for fun. Then I learned about pickup types, I've never known anything about that, and then what the knobs and switches on an electric guitar actually do, and what the knobs on an amp actually does, and what tone actually means. Now I actually, for the first time ever, had a basic understanding of pickups and all that stuff, and was ready to quickly look into what type of guitar the two guitar players of the Strokes use. So Albert uses a 1985 Stratocaster with all single coils, and Nick uses a Epiphone with custom humbuckers. And Gordon, the producer, said in an interview that they should be panned all the way to the left and all the way to the right, which apparently was unusual at the time. The amps they used were Fender Hot Rod DeVilles, and they used Jekyll and Hyde dirt pedals for distortion. For the vocal, I spent a bit of time trying to get the vocal sound right. Julian described it as wanting his voice to sound like your favorite blue jeans, not totally destroyed, but worn in and comfortable. The way they actually got this was with specific analog equipment, so I ended up just copying a YouTube video that described how to do this with free stock plugins, and it kind of works. It does the job. It's not perfect. The bass used was a Fender Jazz Precision bass with no effects, just a bright clean tone. And I bought a cheap bass guitar for this, as up to now I've just been pitch shifting my guitar down an octave, which doesn't sound good at all. I spent £80 on this. The only notes I had for the drums was just the producer saying that they were compressed a lot. Like, that's all I have on my Miro board. I got my first ever drums plugin, the free tier of Steven something, after deciding not to pay for addictive drums. And yeah, I don't play the drums, and up until like 2 months ago I knew basically nothing about them. And up until now for remakes, when it's come time for the drums, I've just listened closely and programmed them in and then kind of copy pasted. So for this remake I wanted to learn to play the whole drum part with my fingers and record it in a single take. For the songwriting side of things, I learnt about counterpoint, which is the idea of using counteracting melodies rather than chords. So guitar 1, guitar 2, the bass and the vocal are all doing different melodies that interlock. And I also learned about the concept of madrigalism, which is a musical technique that uses various elements to illustrate the meaning of the text in a song. Basically, the lyrics and the sound work together. It's kind of like lazy, apathetic, yeah. It's over. Oh my god. If anyone's still watching, thanks a lot. This video is a total mess, like such a weird structure. I don't know if including a 4-minute kind of rough draft near the end was a good idea, but I just wanted to kind of put it all out there. I'm free. This is it. This is literally, I've got no more editing to do. I'm about to hit export. The timeline now looks like that. It's insane. But yeah, I'm free. Thanks a lot for watching. Yeah, bye bye.